All right, we are green. Welcome back, brothers and sisters, patriots across this incredible nation. My name is Braden. This is Langley Outdoors. And what we do here is we basically dish out freedom on the daily. Now, make sure you guys are enjoying this content. Make sure you brings a smile to your face because the very tricks and the tactics that the gun controllers have used against us for decades now by hitting us in an all-out war is being turned back on them about tenfold. Because the DOJ has now gone after the gun controllers where it hurts the most, their slush funds. Just a little brief reminder, we've had US aid go bye-bye, now we've had money from the DOJ and grants go from the NIH and the CDC and the actual gun violence prevention organizations, which again, are gun control slush funds. Guys, this is going to be one you're going to want to send out and drop some love for at Pam Bondi, AG Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Donald Trump in the X profile when you are following me over here at my X account, at Braden LOA. All right. So, as you guys are getting in here, of course, hit that subscribe button because YouTube's doing that thing where, like, I can't even tell you how crazy it is, but it's crazy. Anyway, make sure you aren't being unsubscribed. And I have a little announcement while you guys are filtering in. The shirt, the limited time design shirt, I received some feedback from you guys around one of the details, and it's an interesting thing that I overlooked. I was going for removing tyranny, the 2A, since 1776 in the original design, alluding to the country and how guns were involved in our freedom and our country's origin. But you guys also bring up a very interesting point. The 2A was established and ratified in 1791. So I have changed the design with my designers. We got it going back forward. It now says since 1791, still distributing that tyranny, killing freedom that only the 2A can do this time. Since 1791 to justify the Second Amendment ratification. Removing tyranny, limited time design in the description box below. And I will, of course, extend it a few days now because, let's just face it, I goofed and you guys provided feedback and I appreciate it. So, comes in charcoal, comes in navy, link in the description box below. You get more than 50 bucks on the order, you get free shipping, and we got tons of great designs. Check it out. Thank you for the feedback. And now let's get into the party, people, kicking them right in the financial gonads. All right. So I got wind of this earlier today when some of my friends at NAGR texted me and they said that reports were coming out that the DOJ had just scrapped billions with a B dollars worth of taxpayer-funded anti-gun grant programs. These grants pushed through through under the so-called Bipartisan Safer Communities Act were already in motion. Now, you have to understand where this money's coming from, and this is where the DOJ and Pam Bondi and Trump and all the powers that be, and the other people who are advising them, are going after them in a total war. They are going after the gun controllers in a total war. The Bipartisan Safer Communities Act was the only piece of gun control legislation that Biden was able to push forward through John Cornyn and Joni Ernst and the Republicans in the Senate. That was it. That was the only bit of it. They're going directly after it. Now I'm going to zoom out and go macro a little bit. Guys, I'm going to do a video on this that dive in a lot more deeply. But if you look at everything that's happening in the past 90 days, you've got what looks to be a total war going on against gun control. You've got ATF, career politicians and bureaucrats being fired at an incredible rate. You have the money being cut off. You have U.S. attorneys being backhanded and basically having all of their gun control support removed from Biden holdovers. And you've got... there's something I'll remember in a second. But guys, it's total war. They're going after the population. They're going after the attorneys. They're going after the deep state. They're going after the gun control employees. And now they're going after the money that's distributed through the Bipartisan Safe Communities Act. Let's freaking go. Tag me in the post that you'll put on X at Braden LOA. So they're looking further into it. And they confirmed quickly after that. And I want to show you some stuff that GOA confirmed as well. So this is breaking from their X account. AG Pam Bondi has axed millions of dollars in wasteful CDC and NIH grants, including many which GOA has long critiqued for being used to unlawfully advocate or promote gun control. Absolutely was. They are 100% correct. Here's a few examples that they cited. Again, all tying back to AG Pam Bondi, the Trump executive order, and the new powers that be. $3.6 million for firearm retirement for senior citizens. $1.2 million for check-ins on guns at home. And $2.1 million to study firearm possession by Asian Americans. I don't know why they're singling out Asian Americans, and it sounds like freedom to me. I don't really care where you're from or what your heritage is. But anyway, that's a thing. But that's happening. They're going after the money. Let's keep going because it gets even better. The DOJ just cut $2 million from Youth Alive 510, the anti-gun group. It teaches young Americans about the so-called myth of guns being used as protection. That checks out. They do that all over the place. Trains participants to talk to other people out of carrying a gun. And then pressures businesses to stop advertising handguns. You have to understand the infrastructure that they were building on the gun control side. When you guys voted for Trump and you voted for the House and you voted for the Senate and the executive orders, the DOJ, the ATF, all the right people put in place by those that you voted for, in this case, it is stacking in a positive direction, because what they were doing was they were doling out money to gun violence prevention advocate centers across the nation, which were doing this. They were looking to brainwash the population away from their 2A rights, using money from the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. That's why it was always such a big deal. Here we go. Look at this. Check this out. This is some of the documentation. Session 2, Preventing Gun Violence. This is the youth identify reasons young people carry their own guns. TNT members discuss the myth of guns being used as protection. Role plays and other interactive exercises allow students to explore the consequences of gun violence and to practice talking their peers out of carrying a gun. Defunded. Past advocacy projects have included helping create safety plans for the blah, blah, blah. Filming a video to highlight the positive side of a school which receives negative attention from the media, and convincing the Oakland Tribune to stop advertising handguns. Guys, they were building a subtle, dark shadow campaign against the Second Amendment using your tax dollars through the Bipartisan Safe Communities Act. Thanks, John Cornyn and Tom Tillis and Joni Ernst. You guys did great work there. And of course, that's sarcasm. Can't wait till you get unelected. All right, now let's continue to the fallout, because I would not be a good host in freedom if I didn't show you how upset the Democrats were. Congresswoman Brown blasts the termination of Cleveland Peacemakers grant supporting gun violence survivors. You take away the money and they sure get cranky. Oh, USAID, that was the earlier thing I forgot. My fourth example, USAID. Because USAID is another thing that they got real pissed about too. In 2023, the Cleveland Peacemakers Alliance received a grant of $2 million from the Department of Justice's Community-Based Violence Intervention and Prevention Initiative. That's all from the Bipartisan Safe Communities Act. That's $2 million more of your tax dollars. The Trump administration's decision to terminate $2 million in funding for the Cleveland Peacemakers Alliance is a disgraceful betrayal of the law of decency and of the people of Cleveland. Yeah, read between the lines. This grant authorized by Congress under the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. Thanks, John Cornyn. And finally, Congresswoman Brown voted for the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act in 2022. A major component of the legislation was providing needing resources to help communities like Northeast Ohio reduce gun violence. Do you see what they're building? And finally, the last piece here, and then we'll tie this all together with a pretty little bow. We are talking about DOJ canceling grants for gun violence and addiction prevention victim advocacy. They don't like it. They don't like it at all. For some reason, it wouldn't let me highlight this, but let me read this real quick and then I'll get to you guys. The Justice Department has abruptly canceled hundreds of grants to community organizations and local governments, including funding for gun violence prevention programs and crime victim advocacy. Cuts Attorney General Pam Bondi defended Wednesday as the elimination of millions of dollars in wasteful spending. That is a direct quote from the DOJ, from the AG. She's cutting these programs because they're wasteful spending. That's another mark in the positive column. If it goes negative, I'll make sure I'll highlight that too. But recently, we're on a positive streak, and I'm here for it, and I will reaffirm it. All right, let's keep going. The canceled awards were identified through a review process that determined they did not align with the Trump administration's priorities. This is why they're pissed, guys. This is the entire thing. Check this out. Bondi derided some of the grants on social media, including $250,000 in funding to provide gender-appropriate housing for incarcerated transgender individuals and nearly $700,000 to study the efficacy of LGBTQ liaisons in local police departments. All of it. And oh, by the way, this is more to come right here. More to come, she said, of the future cuts. Guys, I am freaking here for this. Now, let's tie the entire thing together. Let's go back to my X profile, and then we will tie it all together. When you are looking at what we're seeing right now, you are looking, and I've alluded to this a bunch of videos, you are looking at advice being given by the right people to the right people in the positions of power, and it is being heeded. You are quite literally looking, if you look at from a 20,000 foot view, a complete and total assault on the gun control infrastructure of which they have built. You've got the ATF employees getting canned. The ATF doesn't have a directorship, an official one. You have the money being dried up. You have USAID being canceled. You have bureaucrats who are literally C-level across the board at the ATF removed completely. Guys, what you're looking at right now is something that we need to see much, much, much more of. But for the first 90 days of this administration, they started off real slow, and I'll be honest with you, rocky. But man, they are catching their stride. The people who are advising them, keep advising them. You guys know who you are. Now, I hope you guys enjoy. Everything will be linked in the description box below, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think. Of course, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. We just went to dark mode, so it must be time to go to sleep, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.